want to do, and you you have a clear understanding of what you want to do in terms of the method. Yeah, you know what are the concepts, you know what are the constructs, the variables, and things like that. You need to also start thinking about research questions. So what I'm presenting to you is not necessarily the order in which you are going to do it. I'm just presenting them to you as a wholesale presentation, not in the terms of what should come first or what should come next. Today we're going to look at research question. And without research question, you really don't have anything you are working towards. So, but today we're going to look at research question and hypothesis. Remember, we have talked about proposition, we have talked about construct, and we have also talked about hypothesis before. Your proposition leads to your hypothesis. Okay, but at times your proposition could remain in the proposition and never be taken forward to hypothesis. Okay, that's also possible. So, but today we're going to look at research question and hypothesis. Every research must have a question you are trying to answer. Okay, there must be a question, a set of questions that you are trying to answer. Okay, so today we will look at that research question and hypothesis and how are they related. And then we'll look at how should you formulate a good research question and hypothesis. Then we'll explain what we mean by null hypothesis. So, key to a successful research, any research you're trying to do, is there must be at the beginning a clear understanding of what are the things that are unknown, which means what are the questions that need to be answered. Okay. And once you have that, it keeps your work focused. Okay. Because now you know what you are looking for. What is it that you need to answer? How do you know when your work is done? Okay. Once you can provide answer to those questions, then you know the work is done. You can move on. But if you cannot answer it, then you know you still have more to do. So your research question must be stated clearly for any classical investigation. Okay. And the hypothesis must be solved or founded in appropriate background or the research question. So what do I mean by that? For you to do your work appropriately, you must look at what is the state of knowledge? What is it that we do not know currently? Or what do we not have answers for? Okay? So it is based on that you start generating your research question. And your research question must be clear. I've seen some research questions that they are like 4 lines. And I'm wondering, by the time one finish reading that research question, I don't know if somebody will want to even read the work. Because if a single research question is 4 lines, I don't know what the person is trying to say that they cannot say in 1 or 2 lines to make us understand what they are saying. So it must be clear. Once your research question becomes too convoluted, then it means that you don't want to communicate appropriately. You yourself might even get confused. Okay? Online people, please give me a feedback. Let me know if you are hearing me. Not that I will keep on talking and then at a point you guys will now say you cannot hear me.
We are hearing you.
Please let me know. I think you guys are talking. I cannot hear you. Where is our
Prof? We are hearing you. Can you hear me, Prof?
It seems as if they are all saying something, but we cannot hear them.
Yes. Maybe a problem in the system.
We are waiting for our technical person to check for us why we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now, Prof? Oh no, problem. We are talking, but nobody's hearing us.
So in essence, we are having conflicts.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Somebody can type in the chat to let me know if they can hear me.
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, somebody confirmed. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so your research question must be clear, must be focused. Let's wait for the person that volunteered to go and look for the technical person to be unfair to him. Go and call the person that went for them to come back, that the people can hear. Anima, we cannot hear them, but they can hear us. Okay, so your research question must be focused, it must be clear, it must be short enough, it must be complex, but it must be arguable. Okay, so these are things you need to take into consideration. It must be clear, which means reading it, somebody should understand it at a single question 3, 4, 5 times before I understand what you are trying to say. I've said it over and over. You are trying, whenever you are writing a scientific work, you are trying to communicate. You are not writing it for yourself. Somebody can say something now. Let's see if we can hear you.
Yes, Prof, we can hear you. Prof, we can hear you very well.
Hello.
Okay, thank
Hello.
you.
I can
Thank
hear you too, sir.
We can hear
I
you,
can hear
Prof.
you now. I
We
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
I'm Malik from
Prof, are you
Abuja.
hearing
We
us?
can hear
Yes,
you.
yes.
Okay, that's okay. It has been ratified, Prof.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so it must be clear. I do not need to read 3, 4, 5 times before I understand what you're trying to do. Okay, it must be focused. Your research question should clearly give me an understanding which direction you are going. Okay, so I've seen some very, very complicated research question in my life. Some research question, by the time you read them, you are wondering, why do you have and that you are trying to answer like 2 questions in one research question? Why don't you just break it up and answer this one? When you answer that one, go to the next one, answer it. Because if your research question become convoluted, when I go to examine people, the first thing I look at is look at the research question, look at the objectives. Then I go to chapter 4. Where is the answer to research question 1? Where is the result and where is the conclusion that fits that? Like that. Then when you now have 2 matched together, then I have to start digging through where is the first part, where is the second part. And most of the time, people often forget that they have 2 things combined together or 3 things combined together. So they ended up doing just one, and they think that they have done it all. So let your one research question, let it address just one thing. Objective, let one objective address one thing, so that it's easy for you to prove you have completed that. Okay? Let it be concise. If it is too long, it is the rule of human beings. Whenever we are reading, when a sentence is too long, we get confused. Some people may not get confused, but most people get confused. When you have sentences that are getting longer and longer and longer, By the time you get to the end of the sentence, you don't understand what was written in the first few phrases. Okay, so keep it short. Okay, keep it complex. Complex in the sense that it should give people the opportunity to say, is there substance in what you are saying? Is it worth investigating? If you say, when was the beginning of the Second World War? Is a question. But what is worth investigating in that? But if you say, what are the dynamics of the social context? What was the social context underlining or preceding the Second World War across Europe? Now, somebody say, that's interesting. Is going towards something there. So it should be complex enough, but not too. See, the sentence is not too long, but anybody reading it know that I want to understand what was going on within the society preceding the Second World War. I may even narrow it down to a particular period. Because if I say preceding, it could be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years before the war. But I may narrow it down to between so period and so period before the war. Okay? So when you ask question like that, it's complex enough, it's short, it's concise, it's focused, and it's clear what is it that this person is trying to investigate. Okay? That is what makes people want to read your work. It is not the amount of English or complicated vocabulary you can say. Once I read a work and there are too many words that I have to go and check the dictionary, I know that the person is just trying to bamboozle me. The context is usually very poor. They just want to make up for something and just wow everybody that they know big grammar. It's not necessary. You are communicating. Will you be using complicated language if you are talking to somebody? It's not necessary. So keep it simple, keep it straightforward. Okay. It helps once you have those research questions, it helps people to start thinking that okay, there's something that you are trying to put forward. Because that research question, when you put it up now, if I say, what is the social context or the social, or let me say the zeitgeist, which means what is the general feeling of the society a year preceding the Second World War? It means that I'm thinking that there's something also going on in the society that made it possible for the war to actually. So I'm putting an argument forward that there is something there that we need to look at that made that war actually possible. So how do you get this kind of research question? How do you find research questions that are worth investigating? You need to read. It's very, very important. There is no other way to do it. Once you read, new things will emerge. You even find maybe you are currently on this trajectory for your work. By the time you start reading, you realize that, I think there are better dimensions to this thing that I could follow rather than this path that I'm going. So read, read, read. There is no substitute for that. The more you read, the better you get at that. Okay? That is what makes all your professors, your lecturer, that is what makes them experts. They read and they continue to read. Okay? The more you read, you are getting better at what you are doing, and you are unlearning also some of the things you used to hold on to. Okay? That is the way science works. So, a good research question must be broad, but not too broad. Okay? It must be big enough for us to understand what is it you are to get a good grasp that you are doing something that is worthwhile, but it should not be too narrow that it becomes like, okay, what is it you are doing? Okay? If it is too narrow, then there are very few facts to answer. There are very few questions to answer or too few facts to present. If the question is when was the beginning of the Nigerian Civil War, okay? And then we write the date. The research is that's too narrow. There's nothing really there. But if it is too broad, why are there differences in the economic development of different regions in Nigeria? Oh, which regions are you talking about? Is it when we're using the western region, yeah, or is it when we are using the geopolitical zones, or is it which? When are you talking about? Which period are you talking about? Okay, and if you say economic development, there are different dimensions within economic development. Which aspect are you talking about? By the time you finish this, other people will have getting like 5 PhD. You will still be on that one. So you have to ask questions that are very, very specific. They are not too broad. They are broad enough, but they are not too broad that you will not finish it in one lifetime. Hmm? I will need to reincarnate and come and continue it. We don't want that. We will not be able to collect our school fees from you. So we want you to finish that one. You can come back and start another one, but finish this one. So not too broad, okay, and not too narrow. You have to find that balance. It must be specific, okay? If you say, for example, does pollution influence sustainability? Which aspect of pollution are you talking about? Is it air pollution? Is it water pollution? Which one? Sustainability. Sustainability has different dimension. Which aspect of sustainability are you talking about? So you must get to that specificity. Be very specific about what you're talking about. Is television a bad influence? Is it the item itself or the program on the television? And which of the program are you talking about? And if you say, what do you mean? How are you going to characterize bad influence? Hmm? Why not look for what are the influences, and then we'll not decide whether it's bad or good. Because once you say you twist into one direction, it means you have concluded. So try and be very specific. Is religion important for ethics? Which religion, no? And which aspect of ethics are you talking about? All these are examples of what research questions that are not very specific. And when you ask questions like that, if I'm examining you, I'll start asking you, since you have your own research question and you are finished, then I will now start asking my own research question so that you can go and start again. Since you have decided not to be very specific on what you are trying to do, then we'll have to send you back to go and start asking the ones that are specific. So let's think about this. How can we make some of these very specific? Let's make them very, very specific. Anyone? Online, offline, physical, virtual? Anyone want to try? Trying to make those research questions we have there, how do we make them more specific? Remember, sustainability, for example, it has so many different dimensions. Pollution, there are different types of pollution. So we need to make those questions specific. You can reframe it in a different way, but as long as it's a question, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. For the first one, I would look and ask, does environmental pollution, or how does environmental pollution influence economic sustainability within the rural areas?
Okay. Okay. So how does economic environmental pollution influence economic sustainability of Obiakpo local government? Okay, that's a good one. So it's specific. So we're focusing on environmental pollution and we're looking at its influence on economic sustainability of a particular place. So if somebody say, why didn't you think of Port Harcourt local government? No, my focus is on Obiakpo local government because of so and so reason. Boom. Once it's that specific, people will not be asking you out of context question because you can tell them that my focus is not that. This is my focus because it's impossible for only you to do everything. Okay, so that is why your research question needs to be focused. Go ahead.
Although this one is complex, but let me try.
Okay.
How does air pollution in industrial areas influence health sustainability in children?
Instead of saying health sustainability, we can talk about influence children's health. Okay. What are the influence of environmental or air pollution, industrial air pollution emission, industrial emissions influence children health in, you have to say a particular place. You have to give it a place.
Okay, let me say in Transamadi, for instance.
Okay, how does industrial emission from Transamadi industrial estate influences children's health in nearby communities or neighborhood? Very specific. If somebody starts saying, why did you think of everybody or pollution from vehicles? No, I'm focusing on this. Other people can do that. Okay? Anybody want to try online any of the examples we have? You can pick from anyone, or you can even tell me your own. Okay? The idea is practice on asking questions that are very, very specific. Your research question must be specific. If it is specific, you can argue your point clearly that this is the path I'm following. And these are the reasons why I'm following that path. Okay? Any online participation or just special observers? Okay. If it seems as if our online people do not want to, they are not with us today. So, a good research question must be significant, interesting, relevant, and make people want to read your work. Okay? If it is interesting and it's significant, then people want to say, yes, what is it that this person found out with this work? But when they the more like in my own language, it said it is if you have not traveled far enough, you will not see. If you have traveled far enough, you will see a hunchback squirrel. Hmm? What is say that is saying is, in essence, if you have been reading and you have been seeing works from so many different places, you will see all sorts of works. Hmm? Yesterday, I was in a similar class like this, and we were looking at it also from people doing security. And we picked up a work that was on cyber security attacks and whatever. It's an article that has been published. And immediately I picked that work and I started reading through, and I was just shaking my head. Oh my God. And this also got published. But why am I saying that? You need to be very selective when you read some articles. There are so many rubbish articles out there. Predatory journals are everywhere. From the introduction, I just stopped. I said, no, I cannot use this as an example for you guys in this class, because I was doing it live demonstration that how do you search for literature? And somebody asked a question that how do you review the literature so that you can extract what is necessary? So I just say, okay, give me your keywords, and we just put it in a scholar.google.com, and we just pick one that we thought the title was interesting, but the content was a total mess. Yeah. How do you deduce? Okay. And okay. Yes. Let me I hope, since this is connected, Meadow, come and share. Let's go to scholar.google.com. Let me why is doing that? Let me just continue saying what I'm saying. So it must be significant. It's like, for example, that article said they did a review of how machine learning and AI has been used to prevent or predict cyber attacks. That is what they said they are doing. Then in the body of the work, they started talking something else. They said it's a review paper and it's not more than 7 pages. How do you review the state of a particular concept or idea or technology, and in 7 pages you are reviewing? When you are doing a review work, you must tell us, how did you search for the literature? What is the method? Because a review means you have systematically explored what is out there in terms of publication. So first of all, they didn't do that. From the introduction, I was like, holy Moses, this is bad. Yes. So give me some keywords. Give me some keywords, or even just do this: traditional institution and conflict management. Let's try this. Okay. So we have integrating traditional and modern conflict management strategies in Nigeria. So let's just find out. I like using more recent, so let's limit managing conflict in organization. So for example, if I'm searching for material, is it sharing this? Okay. If I'm looking for material on traditional institution and conflict management, if I'm seeing something, if I have a work on managing conflict in organizations, that does not fit into what I want to do. So there's no point reading that first one. Okay? So application of multiple linear regression model in the evaluation of the role of traditional rulers in peace building and conflict resolution in Maiduguri. Immediately that is a red flag for me. Why are you doing multiple linear regression model in evaluation roles of traditional ruler? Roles of traditional rulers is a contextual thing, is a qualitative thing. It's not something you subject to quantitative tests. So for me, that's a red flag. But let's investigate a little bit further. Because what is it that you are trying to do? You are evaluating their role. You should look at examples of case studies of how traditional rulers have participated in conflict management and evaluate their role, because every context differs. So why will I start using Department of Mathematical Sciences, again, Center for Peace Diplomacy? Let's now see. What is it that they did? The study assessed the role of traditional rulers in peace building. Is this current one still shared? Okay, the population of study is 200 respondents. Why 200? Don't worry, we'll get there. Of which 133 respondents were sampled. So are you telling me that there are only 200 traditional rulers? So see the way the work started. The study assessed the role of traditional rulers in peace building and harmony in Maiduguri metropolis. Who are the people that were surveyed? He just told us 200 people were surveyed. 133 responded. I introduce the problem, the background. That's abstract. For me, this is already a no-no for me. The study used a self-developed questionnaire to collect data for the study. The study employed descriptive statistics for data analysis. The study, D. Don't write like that. Don't. Vary the way you start your sentence. Once it's monotonous like this, it's off-putting. We like reading. If everything is just like that. Eh? No, we never get to the linear. I will show where the linear is. He said the study employed descriptive statistics for data analysis. Multiple linear regression is not a descriptive statistics. It's an inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics, it generates one value to describe the values. Inferential statistics do test hypothesis so that we can generalize. So already, this is a no. The findings, we just went to findings. We didn't even know the objective. Okay. The finding revealed that dispute over land, dispute over money, dispute over inheritance, breach of trust and contract were the causes of conflict in Maiduguri. Oath taking, swearing, presenting, go down. Meadow, please. Now, tell me, where is it that they have shown us the role in this abstract now? They said the study assessed the role. Where is it in this whole abstract as role being presented? Because it may be that my English is not good enough. Please, I want you guys with eagle eyes. Look at it carefully. This is abstract. Abstract must summarize. This is the end of the abstract. There is no other part of the abstract that is not showing. Yes. Sunday we go good. Now from Saturday we go no. If I read your abstract and this abstract, for example, is like this, I'm not reading anything again. I'm not. How can the title be screaming application of multiple regression model in evaluation? Who published this kind of stuff? Who is the journal? Where is the journal? My goodness, this is bad. Please read sites consciously. Logic. The logic is totally defeated here. There is no logic in what they're saying, what the title is screaming, and what the content is are not in alignment. They are not in alignment at all. And I can assure you these people are probably lecturers. This is bad. This is bad. I've not even gone to, anyways, for me, I start reading from abstract. Once the abstract is rubbish, I don't to read. I don't, because it's a bloody waste of my time. It's a bloody waste of my time. Statement of problem. Who writes statement of problem in a journal article? In your introduction, that is where your problem should become obvious. You don't have a special heading for statement of problem. So this is a very bad journal or a particular publication. Maybe it's just this publication. Objective. Identify causes of dispute, types of dispute, effect of conflict resolution used by traditional ruler on peace building. Where is the role as the title specify? Where is it there? So, still looking for that multiple regression. Oh. Let me see if I can find it. Even though the abstract says they are using descriptive statistics, conflict theory, method, descriptive, survey, technique, to ascertain the role. Together, the simple graphic, they form the basis for virtually every quantitative analysis. Where is that? See, we have seen research design, we have seen sampling. So who are the people? Oh, a sample of 133 traditional rulers were purposively selected. But he said 200. And now he said 133. Don't make this kind of mistake when you are writing. Okay, the population is 200. So all the there are 200 traditional rulers in Maiduguri Petropolis. Where is the source of that data? We need to see where is he got that list. Now, why are we now saying CEO sampling frame? He now said words, household sampled, which one is population of households slash population slash of household sampled? What is that one? And then here, sampled. You can't say sampled population. You take sample from a population. But this person will say he has published. Oh, you'll be surprised. There are so many rubbish publications out there. So this one is 200. Sampling technique, Taro Yamani, all sort of nonsense. This is bad. This is really bad. Chromback Alpha. Why are you using Chromback Alpha? You didn't even tell us what you are using it for. Data collected were analyzed using descriptive statistics, and the title stated multiple linear regression. And the title is saying role. Oh my God. Yeah. This is the multiple linear regression. Oh my God. What is this saying? My goodness. Independent variable. What is PBS? Peace building. Ah, there is God. Let's not continue again. This is bad. Meadow, switch screen. Let's go back to our Google Scholar. This is bad. This is bad. Okay. So, okay, unmute them. But we don't want, if we unmute you, we don't want everybody to now turn to chatterbox. So it must be organized. So this is just a snippet. This is a tip of the iceberg of the quality, very bad quality of things that you can find online. There's so many of them. So you have to be very careful when you are reading.
Prof, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me cut you. Good morning, Prof. We have been suspended for a while, that we couldn't participate, we couldn't make contributions. Even when you were asking, we were generally muted, as in the recent suspension.
Okay, now, you have been unsuspended now. Don't worry, it will not be up to 6 months.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So, Prof, just like what you are saying with that article, you discover that it seems that there are different styles being adopted by different journal editors or universities or whatever. That as you are critiquing this particular article, you may not be surprised that it has been accepted and published internationally. But to you, the approach, the writing is very wrong, which I agree with you. So do we have a uniform way, universally acceptable way of writing article? That is one. Then in literature review, what is the difference between reviewing a literature and criticizing? Are we actually doing a critique of a literature or just reviewing? So I would like you to throw more light on this. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you for that question. The first part of the question has to do with, is there a standard? Yes, there is a standard. Every article, if you are publishing in a well-structured, a reputable journal, you follow the IMRAD structure. Introduction. Within your introduction, that is where you put your background, your the aim, and literature review is subsumed in that introduction. Okay? It is in that introduction that you put all that. Then you go to methodology. This is where you tell us how is the work done. Once you finish telling us how the work was done, you now tell us what are the findings, what are the results. If there are numbers, present the numbers. The statistical analysis, everything, present it. Once you finish with that, you now discuss, you tell us how is what I've found out, how is it related to what other people have done. Once you finish that, you conclude. We don't even expect you to do a summary, because a journal article is supposed to be a summary of what you are doing. You have done a work, you have done a study, and we're asking you between 5,000 words and 6,000 words, summarize everything. Tell us what you have done, how you did it, what you found out, and your conclusion. That is what we are asking you. That is the structure. Put your references. So IMRAD, that is the structure. This is also part of what I'm going to teach you. You can see in your introduction now, you must have your aim there. The aim of the work must be inside that introduction. You must provide a background to the study. And you must do a brief literature review. What is it that we know right now? Okay? And in that introduction, that's why you put the justification for why we should do this work that you are doing. Okay? Then you move on to the result. After your result, you discuss. After your discussion, you conclude. That is the structure. Okay? It is this. Go and try looking at Elsevier, Science Direct, PubMed, any of those old, very old and established publishing house. Go and see the structure, and you see that they follow this structure that I'm talking about. And nobody will accept, just as this work will never go anywhere else, because the title, the content, the findings, the operationalize. How do you operationalize peace building? Because the person put a number to peace building there. Something that they could have done qualitatively. Sit down with 3, 4, 5 traditional rulers. Ask them questions. What do you do when there is this kind of conflict? What do you do? How do you do this? From your experience, what are the challenges? And you come back and give us a very qualitative, descriptive analysis of what these selected people are doing in the city. You can even now escalate it and go to rural area and go and talk to them and now compare how does their role vary and their strategy vary. Interesting piece of work. You're not doing linear regression, multiple linear regression. For what? In peace building, and especially role. Linear regression helps us to find out what are the effects of or influence of the independent variable on the dependent variable. So in this case now, which one is that the role? They are looking evaluation of the role. Regression will not evaluate role for you now. Regression will check the influence of the independent on the dependent. How does that fit? How does this fit here? And unfortunately, it is published. So you have to be very careful. Then you ask about when you are reviewing and when you are critiquing. When you review, now let me dissect that a bit. When you do a review article, you must systematically look for works that has been done and now bring them, tell us that, oh, works has been done this way, it has been done this way, it has been, this dimension has been looked at, this dimension has been looked at. However, in your conclusion now, when you do a review article, you are going to tell us what is yet to be well explored. What has not been considered in the literature that are available. Now, when you are writing your own empirical review in your thesis, what we expect from you is, for each of your objectives, look for relevant works for that objective. Tell us what was done, how it was done, what were their findings, and what are the limitations of that particular work. Is it that they considered so variable, and they missed out so thing and so thing? Because by the time you finish that empirical review, the next subsection is gap in literature. Those limitations, you will now summarize them and put them in gap in literature. We don't expect you to start doing citations again when you get to gap in literature. You are going to summarize what are the problems, what are the challenges that you have seen in other works. That is how you do that. I hope that answered your question. So the way you do it in an article, when you are doing a review article, and when you are doing empirical review in your thesis, there are two different things. Okay? There are two different, you apply two different approaches to them. Okay?
made a comparison. He said if there's a difference between the review and critique.
A critique.
Yeah.
Let me point something out to you. If you are critiquing a work, be very sure you know what you are talking about. Okay? I'll rather point out the limitations, the challenges of that work, especially when I'm writing my own thesis. I bring out what are the things that they didn't consider that I think they should consider. What are the shortcomings in their approach, which I think will limit the generalizability of their work. It makes more sense to do that. When you are critiquing, you must have a very broad knowledge of what you are talking about. If you don't have that, you are at this your level, you are not at that level. Because you might be surprised that the person that is coming to examine you is the person you have said you have critiqued. And then he will just start asking you questions. He will just say, okay, you cited the work of so and so, and you said it is rubbish and it is a stupid approach. Oh yeah, please elaborate on. Then you have dig the so it's better. Everybody knows that every work has its own limitation. Nobody will argue with you. Not being considered that it resources. We have limitations in terms of time. We have limitations in terms of access to even what we want to collect data, where we want to collect data. So that can do. So think of it that way. Add your question. I moved into research now. Doing things like this than being so structured. I think it brings real life to this. We can access to the full work. Okay. Another one. Oh, here now. It's still traditional. Okay, so no. So, anyways, that's something you have to be very, very careful when you are reading articles. Okay, with time, the more you read, the better you get at detecting those ones that are not well done. Okay, because this is also the problem of internet now, and people are trying to make money off everything, and we're in the society where it is publish or perish. Nonsense goes and they get published. Look at this article, for example. Meadow, get rid of this part for me, so you can see it, or you read it. Okay, so I want you guys to look at this very sensitive. The conflict sensitive adaptation governance analysis aims to evaluate so whether these instruments are These analyses focus on Kenya's, see the background. See the next statement. Okay? This adaptation policy instrument operates under the principle of locally led adaptation. It is intended to assist county. This research developed a practical, see how they are starting, see where they now. The framework includes 22 assessment criteria to guide the analysis of across 3 policy phases. The framework is organized around 3 key dimensions, which were theoretically, The County Climate Change Fund provides a promising model for, despite its successes, several opportunities for conflict-sensitive and peace-building integration remain. And recommendation, it's a report. If you read this kind of abstract, read the content, for me, right now, I want to look at this now. Because it is written in such a way that it draws you in to want to see. And what's the title? Let's go back to the title. Conflict-sensitive adaptation governance, assessing Kenya's county climate change fund. Looking at the title, are they in line? So let that be your filter. Once you are not jamming, jam that thing into the bin. Jam it into the bin. Let's look at another example. Efficacy of regional conflict, a case study of, let's look at that. That is likely to be a thesis. It's like this. Yes, efficacy of regional conflict management architecture. Okay. Let's go to research questions. Let's go to where they have. So research question is on page 7. 5, 6, 7. See? What are the regional conflict management mechanism in? Remember the title. Scroll up. Let's look at the title. See the first research question. Efficacy of regional conflict management architecture, a case study of East African community. The first question is, what are those management strategies? It's jamming with the title. How effective? Efficacy. He wanted to find out the efficacy. What are the issues? What are the issues? Is there any more research question? That's about it. He doesn't need 200 research questions. He doesn't need 5. He doesn't need 10. 3 are good enough because they directly address the topic. Okay? And if you look at it, very specific. What are the regional conflict management mechanisms? In where? In this community, in this region. How effective are these? Because it is when you know this that you can find out then what are the challenges. So this person, I'm sure it's a qualitative work. They will just sit people down, find out, let them tell you what are the challenges. What are the, he can even use a case study and look at examples of conflict and ask the intervention of the regional conflict management scheme. How has it reduced the conflict or managed the conflict? Boom. Work is done. Very specific, very targeted, very clear, very focused. Because why didn't you look at the traditional conflicts? No. My work is focusing on regional conflict management strategies. I'm not looking at those at the local level. That is research question for you. In this research question now, it doesn't need hypothesis because there is no statistical testing that is required. Like the other one that is looking for the role. Do you need statistics to answer the question of what are the roles of traditional rulers? You don't need statistics. You need to describe the roles to us. Okay? So this is an interesting work. Maybe somebody will have to do for West Africa in this class. Oh, but we have to find out whether they have done works on West Africa anyways. So these let's go back to our slides. So please be very careful and selective when you pick up articles. There's so many bad works out there. So many. There are more than the good works.
You mentioned if maybe somebody can do, but as it is not down to maybe a particular community in Nigeria, is that
you will have to read the existing literature. You will have to read the existing body of literature to see whether there is a gap there. Because I'm just saying this now. I don't know if other people have worked on that. Okay, so you have to read and find out what is there in the literature and what is missing. So that's the way to go. I cannot tell you with certainty now that that's the right way to go. Okay, so it must be significant, it must be interesting, it must be relevant. Are you investigating that nobody is interested in or nobody considers it a problem? I think the River State, we have enough issues to investigate for peace and conflict. Linking it even back to security, there is enough to investigate now. So do something that is interesting, something that is make other people want to say, wow, I want to read that work. Not that another one, okay. You don't do, you don't done. Okay. Bye-bye.
successor and predecessor?
It's left for you. You're a reverse man. You can investigate that one. Me, I don't want to be a judge as bigot trying to catch other ethnic group. Me, I will not investigate that. But if you are interested, we will supervise you and you will do the investigation. So it's relevant. It must be something that makes people want to read your work. Remember, you are communicating to other people. If you do something that is already done several times, everybody has been about it, and it is well explored, who wants to read your own again? Why don't you find an angle that has not been considered, introduce it to it, and bring something forward? That's what makes it interesting. Okay? But be careful, don't make it too interesting that you may not be able to. That's the challenge. You want to do something interesting, but then it becomes difficult to get the data to even access the people you need to talk to. Then you are stuck. So you have to, it's a balancing act. It should be in